a fooling how we do. There's not a stoplight yet, but I hear.
The potential for tragedy is strewn along this highway. Whether this will be a tragedy or just another highway accident depends on what happens next. The teamwork that will be brought to bear by many different agencies responsible for serving this community.
How about calling the police department for me and tell them to send an ambulance and a fire truck, and be sure to tell them that I'm hauling methanol and it's leaking and that we could have a fire and there's one injured person up under the truck. And please be careful.
Okay, there's a phone right up the road here that I can use. Are you sure you're going to be all right?
I'll be all right. You just be careful.
All right.
One telephone call to this community's 911 emergency number will mobilize all essential emergency services. The response to this telephone call will involve a high degree of coordination, cooperation, and communication. But first, there had to be a plan.
Here now,
A plan forged and hammered out in meetings like this.
you've seen the draft on a contingency plan on transportation actions involving hazardous materials. And for starters, I think you'll find that 2 points will come out in that. One, that nowhere in this plan does it try to tell any agency how to do your job. That's not an objective of this plan. Everybody knows how to do their job. The other thing is that when we talk about hazardous materials, you immediately find that there are a whole heck of a lot of people and agencies become involved. So the idea on this plan is to coordinate all these agencies and all these resources into a real effective operation with these people doing their job. Okay, let's talk about communication, since that's how we're going to have to get started with first. We'll get from the accident
As a blueprint for emergency response to transportation accidents involving hazardous materials, this plan defines the role of each agency or organization that may become involved, so that each is as effective as possible.
But we are going to be advised by the State Highway Patrol, are we not?
It sets forth clearly procedures to be followed in notifying emergency units, in establishing a proper chain of command, for declaring a state of emergency if conditions warrant, for evacuating people and providing shelter, for mobilizing community resources, for communicating with media and reporting to proper state and federal agencies.
So it's important as we go on with this, somebody's got to coordinate all these activities, and we will end up with some single source of information, an on-scene coordinator, we'll call him.
Now, as the last digit of the 911 number is dialed, this county's plan, once just so many words, becomes reality.
Emergency.
The phone call is received here at the County Emergency Center.
Been a bad wreck on Division Drive between a tanker and a car. Yes, ma'am. How many people's injured? One. It'd be a male. Is he conscious or unconscious? Okay. The truck was carrying methanol.
From this emergency center, the alarm goes out.
V642 went from 17 north, about 3 miles out en route.
EMS 8, Hanover Control.
MSA, go ahead.
We're en route 1050 on Division Drive, possible PIs.
At the accident scene, the driver of the truck is following a carefully prescribed procedure. These reflectors will warn other motorists of the danger.
If you need to get out of this area, we could have a fire, and you just back right straight down the road.
The truck driver knows that a spark from any source could cause a fire. The highway patrol is the first to arrive. The trooper's chief concerns are for the injured driver and the protection of other motorists. But before he can give aid, he must understand the dangers posed by the chemical leaking from the tank. This placard, required by federal regulations, tells him the cargo is flammable, and the number is keyed to the Hazardous Materials Emergency Response Guidebook provided by the U.S. Department of Transportation. The few seconds spent consulting this guidebook will enable the trooper to act in the best interest of everyone without endangering himself or others.
I got on a load of methanol, and there's one injured guy up under the trailer, and he's bleeding and unconscious.
You sure it's methanol?
Yeah.
Just one injury in it?
Right, one injured guy. He's up under the trailer.
Can you tell how bad he's injured?
No, can't.
Let's go check him. He's got a strong pup. I believe that arm is broken. He's got a bad head injury. The way he's laying, his back may be broken. He's upwind from that leak. I think we'll leave him here to rescue squad.
All right, fine.
B6 42 Wilmington.
642, go ahead.
10-4. I'm at the scene. This tanker is loaded with methanol. It's leaking pretty bad. Got a man on the ground with a possible broken back. We're just outside the city limits on Division Drive. Better call the city police and sheriff's department to help with this crowd control. We might need to evacuate. The fire chief is riding at this time. We'll make that decision later.
The 642 Temple.
The Highway Patrol dispatcher will relay the information to the County Emergency Center.
Are you sure it's methanol?
Positive. I have the bill of lading right here.
Chief, that thing's leaking pretty bad. I got an injured man on the ground now. I don't think we should move an EMS arrive. I understand you're going to be coordinating this. My supervisor's en route. He'll meet you at the command post. If you think we need to evacuate, let me know. I'll handle the traffic.
Will do.
In this county, all of the agencies have agreed that the fire chief will be the on-scene coordinator and direct the activities of all emergency units responding to the accident. In other communities, a different individual may be designated on-scene coordinator. While the chief sets up the command post, other essential parts of the plan are being carried out. The dispatcher at the County Emergency Center calls city and county law enforcement agencies and asks for assistance in traffic and crowd control. The patrol dispatcher contacts the state warning point, which will alert the Division of Emergency Management and the Division of Environmental Management. She also will call the trucking company that owns the disabled tanker. The carrier will send its emergency response team to help deal with the accident, and it is responsible for reporting the accident to state and federal environmental agencies.
Is the driver all right? Okay, thanks for advising us. We'll be en route shortly.
The State Environmental Management Division's Emergency Computer Network advises state environmental and public health agencies of the incident. This agency also will dispatch a team to the scene.
Chief, we're going to immediately set up crowd and traffic.
Other resources are available to help a community deal with an accident involving hazardous materials. One is Chemtrec, the Chemical Transportation Emergency Center, which operates a 24-hour telephone hotline in Washington, D.C.
Go ahead.
Notify Chemtrec that we do have a tanker involved in an accident.
And it does contain methanol.
Temple, we'll notify.
Chemtrec, Chesman speaking. Do you have an emergency involving chemicals?
Chemtrec is a partnership between the private and public sectors. It can provide accurate emergency response information on more than 45,000 different products, advising emergency services and carriers of what should and should not be done in the event of a hazardous materials emergency.
Make sure the ignition sources are secured. Don't touch the spilled material and keep all unprotected personnel upwind. Small spills can be taken up with sand or other non-combustible absorbent material.
Chemtrec also notifies individual shippers so that they can get their experts to work on the problem.
We'll respond with our emergency team right away. Thank you for calling.
Some chemical companies have their own emergency response teams trained and equipped to assist at accidents involving their products. Shipper and carrier associations can also provide help during an emergency. At the scene, the emergency personnel are carrying out their parts of the plan under the direction of the fire chief. To minimize the danger of fire, the firemen are fogging the area. The fire chief ordered this procedure after determining that water would not react with the chemical. When the danger of fire is sufficiently reduced, EMS personnel remove the injured person, carefully working upwind of the leaking methanol. In many accidents involving hazardous materials, EMS personnel should and do wear protective clothing. To reduce the danger of environmental damage, dikes are being dug.
Chief Land, I want you to meet these men from state, environmental management, emergency management.
We've got area diked up.
If this community needed additional help, a team composed of members of appropriate state agencies could be assembled by the Emergency Management Area Coordinator.
Anything you need, we're standing by.
Thank you.
Hello, Chief. That's not a milk truck down there. What we got?
No, it ain't. We got a methanol spill there, but we seem to have it under control right now. We got it.
Accidents involving hazardous materials create public anxiety. One responsibility of the on-scene coordinator is to provide the public with accurate information through the news media to explain the danger without causing unnecessary alarm. In this case, he has delegated the responsibility to an assistant so he can continue to direct on-scene activities.
The situation's well in hand now. We've got it all under control. We've got it diked. We've used a fog pattern in there and cut down the spray, cut down the vapors, and we've got the leak cut down to practically nothing.
Come on in, Ken.
Plugging the leak and transferring the cargo from the disabled tanker to another tank truck are the responsibility of the carrier.
You all right? Yeah, I'm doing just fine. Guys driving the truck for today.
Come on, bring it down.
Okay, James, let's take her right on down there.
Yep.
Often, carrier and shipper work together as a team, with the shipper providing information and advice about the product and the carrier handling the transfer tasks. Transferring a cargo such as methanol requires specialized knowledge and experience to prevent a fire. After the disabled tanker has been emptied, it must be sealed so that a spark won't set off the explosive vapors inside.
Take it away.
Once the cargo has been transferred and the tanker sealed properly, the vehicles can be moved from the scene. As the immediate crisis passes, there remain several tasks to be completed. Cleanup and proper disposal of any spilled material. determination of any environmental damage, and proper notification of state and federal agencies.
Okay, gentlemen.
Finally, all agency representatives get together to share their impressions of how well the plan worked. Based on the experience at this accident, minor changes in the plan may be recommended at the formal critique, which will take place later. To be most effective, the plan will be fine-tuned continuously.
It looked bad, but it could have been much worse. It could have been, except for the fact that this county has a contingency plan to deal with the transportation of hazardous cargo and the possible accidents that can happen. So that's what this will remain, simply a highway accident and not a tragedy. For TV6 News, I'm Richard Williams.